I can't believe it, she's not in the basket today. We bought the cats a new cat tower and they love it a little bit too much. It's got a basket on either side and the cats haven't gotten out of it. It's really adorable, but I can't really get them to go into this basket. So yeah, hopefully Gin or Nez makes an appearance in the episode, but I definitely cannot guarantee it. Speaking of the episode, we're reading 14 stories today. I felt like we should do an extra story. So yeah, in today's episode, we're reading 14 Am I the A-hole stories. Enjoy, everybody. Am I overreacting? I didn't spend the night at my boyfriend's house because it was so awful. So, my boyfriend and I had been dating for about a month, and last weekend I finally spent the night at his house for the first time. At first, everything was fine, his apartment was pretty clean, and he cooked and we watched a movie. It was a super cozy atmosphere. But when it came time to actually get into bed, I swear my soul left my body. His bed looked filthy. The sheets were a little bit grey, like they used to be white. The pillows, oh my god, they were yellow, flat, lumpy and stained, like they'd survived multiple world wars. I couldn't tell if the smell was old sweat or cat hair or history. At first I tried to play it cool, just kinda laughing like, wow, when did you last change these? He said very casually, oh, I've had these since I was a kid. Yeah, probably hasn't washed them either. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. This man had been sleeping on the same pillow for over a decade. I honestly told him that it was making me uncomfortable. I didn't want to be rude, but I just couldn't bring myself to sleep in that bed. He immediately got defensive, saying, you didn't do anything? They're just pillows. Am I overreacting? I didn't spend the night at my boyfriend's house because it was so awful. I said, they're more than just pillows, they're biohazards at this point. He got angry and called me overly dramatic and ungrateful because he'd made dinner and everything. I told him I was grateful, but I just couldn't sleep. He fell silent and said something like, if you really cared about me, this wouldn't bother you. If you really cared about OP, you wouldn't make them sleep in that. And at this point, I grabbed my bag and I went home. The next day, he texted me saying that I embarrassed him and made him feel like I thought he was dirty. Yeah, well, probably change your bedding, dude. I told him that I just wanted basic hygiene, clean sheets and new pillows, and that's all. He said I was overreacting. So now I sit here and I wonder, did I really overreact because I didn't want to sleep in a dirty 10-year-old bed? No, you're not overreacting, and like this comment says, why is he more embarrassed by your comment instead of being embarrassed by his own bed? Yeah, you're not overreacting on this one. The comment below that says, I feel you. I once tried to sleep on a guy's old bed and I literally couldn't. Hygiene boundaries are valid. You're not being dramatic. Yeah, for sure, and I can imagine what it must have been like too. Like OP was pretty descriptive about the bed. The pillows were yellow and flat and lumpy and stained. I turned around and looked at his bed and the pillow was walking away. Okay, that was story number 1. Story number 2 is called Am I Overreacting to My Girlfriend Sharing a Bed, in brackets, non-sexually with a male friend. Buckle up, everybody, this one's a bit of a long one, and I've got a feeling it's gonna be horrifying. I, 25 male, have been in a long-distance relationship with this girl, 24 female, for about 4 months. She has a friend, straight 22 male, from college who she is really close to, who she says that she sees as a brother. She also insists that the feeling is mutual and that he only sees her as a sister. Yesterday, he flew to her city to meet her and booked a room. She told me that she's going to meet him, but won't be staying. She went to visit him in the room and stayed there the entire day. She called me around 10 p.m. and told me that they just spent the whole day in the room and were going to watch a movie while having dinner. I knew immediately that she wasn't going to go back to her place, but I didn't say anything then. But then after dinner, they watched a few more movies and talked late until 3 in the morning, and then slept in the same bed as well. Since I was messed up from last night's conversation, I didn't really send her any good morning message, like I usually do with a silly good morning video that I found online. I just said that I didn't sleep well and sent the video, to which she replied, well, it's too late, we have both woken up, confirming that they slept in the same room at least. This absolutely messed me up the entire day today, but I wasn't going to bring it up as long as the guy is still around her. But she called me in the evening today and she was talking in detail about what they did yesterday, probably to make it clear that she isn't hiding anything from me. and said that they'll probably do the same tonight as well, staying up until 3 in the morning talking. I did my best to stay calm, and I asked how many days he's staying, and she said that he's going to be staying for 3 more days, weekend plus Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This absolutely made me fly off the handle, and I got on a call and I essentially just yelled to be honest, about how this is really not fine, and it doesn't sit well with me at all. She kept insisting that neither of their intentions are of the kind to be worried about, and nothing was ever going to happen between them. I guess that was the point that I realised that I don't really even care about the intentions, but rather I'm simply not okay with my girlfriend sleeping in the same bed as an unrelated guy. It was this realisation that brought me to this subreddit. Is that last bit an overreaction? I wouldn't consider it an overreaction if the intentions of either person aren't clear, but even if they are clear, I'm not fine with it. Is that wrong on my part? Update. Firstly, I wish this story was fake. It isn't. This happened today and I'm still going through it. It hurts even more when somebody straight up dismisses it as rage bait. Secondly, she messaged me a few hours or so ago saying that they apparently had a fight. This message was 5 hours after our phone call, 11 p.m. local time. The message: I will go back to my place after work tomorrow since it's too late to travel back now. I stayed here. After that absolutely perfect message, she apologized for not realizing that her decisions affect me as well. Whatever the that's supposed to mean. I saw a few well-meaning comments in the sea of comments directly taking the cheating angle that were talking about how platonic relationships still exist and a man and a woman can sleep in the same bed with absolutely no sexual contact. To them I ask, let's say that it was absolutely platonic and they had the purest of intentions. Isn't it bare minimum to respect your partner's feelings about a certain action that you committed and not repeating it in the very same day? Forget the ideology behind having a problem with your partner sharing a bed with a platonic friend who flew 1,000 miles and booked a room for 5 days to be alone with you for a second. Isn't it even a knee-jerk reaction to stop doing what's causing pain to your partner, at least until you've had a proper conversation about it? I'm done. Final update. I really can't even reconstruct the calls that happened today, but since one of the things that I brought up in the calls was from the comments under this post, how was it a spontaneous choice to stay over if she didn't plan to in the first place and didn't take any clothes? This was actually the only thing that found its way from Reddit into a real conversation with her. I got a pretty clear answer. She took them in case I had to stay over for 2 days. Honestly, it was laughable because it was very clearly decided before she left her place. It wasn't even 1 change of clothes, but rather 2, considering that she spent 2 nights there and went to work on the 3rd. There are so many other things, so many new random red flags popped up after that I can't even begin to write it all here. I'm also absolutely exhausted with 2 wild days of emotional and physical turmoil. I knew that I was pretty much done after her immediately disrespecting my boundaries, but the that she said over the calls removed all doubt in my mind that we were absolutely incompatible with each other. Our idea of relationships and friendships and families all got called into question in my mind, and I knew what had to be done. I'd like to thank everybody who took the time to read my post. It's long, I just realised, and commented sensibly. I'd also like to thank the people who reached out to me to ensure that I'm doing fine and to give their 2 cents on the matter. I will thank you guys in our chats as well, of course. I honestly think the simplest and most befitting way to end this post is now with an image that popped up in my head the moment that I knew I was going to end things with her in the middle of the last phone call. And it's the photo of that guy breaking the shackles. Yeah, that was a lot. Very much a not overreacting consensus. This comment says, respect yourself and leave her. The top comment says, oh yeah, they spent the whole day and night in the room playing Scrabble. I'm sure it's fine. The second top comment says, I'd be a lot less concerned if they did something. We're just spending days on end in the room together. Screams non-platonic to me. This is so unrealistic that I'm dubious of it not being fictional. OP, if this is in fact true, then I'm quite sorry for any pain that I might have caused. I still don't believe this is platonic though. Oh yeah, I see him as a brother and he sees me as a sister. Okay, so does that mean that you have to get a room together? Spend the whole day together in the room alone together and sleep in the same bed together in the same room alone together? Yeah, no. The consensus, of course, in the comments is not overreacting. Most people are saying that OP underreacted. Like, imagine how she would feel if you did that, OP. Like, what? Yeah, and like OP said, say that it was absolutely platonic and they had the purest of intentions. Isn't it bare minimum to respect your partner's feelings about a certain action that you committed and not repeating it the very same day? Okay, that was story number 2. Time for story number 3. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend thinks that I overstepped by getting a Nintendo Switch 2. Am I wrong? So I, late 20s female, decided to treat myself and I finally ordered a Nintendo Switch 2 online last week. I've been wanting one since it came out, but with the rising cost of living, it's been pretty hard to justify the expense, and the stock has been impossible to find. After budgeting carefully and making sure that all of my bills were covered, I went for it. I've been saving for months, and I was so excited when I was able to get one before it sold out again. When I told my boyfriend, he didn't seem thrilled. He said that I should have discussed it with him first and accused me of being irresponsible with money. To clarify, I didn't touch any shared finances or skip out on responsibilities. This was 100% my own money, and everything else is in order. He's acting like it's a huge deal, saying that I'll spend too much time on it and that it's immature for an adult. Bro, what? That is so silly. It's immature for an adult to play video games, is it? That's a ridiculous attitude. It's immature to think that video games are immature, I feel like. I know gaming isn't something a lot of women are into, but it's just something I genuinely enjoy. OP, you don't need to feel bad about liking video games. Games are amazing. I get that things are tight right now, and maybe he's feeling stressed about money too, but I made sure everything important was covered before buying it. It feels to me like he's upset that I made a decision for myself without asking him first. Am I missing something here, or is he overreacting? I really don't want this to turn into a bigger issue, but I also feel like I didn't do anything wrong. This comment says millions of women play games. They make up 48% of the market. How much time do you want to spend with somebody who thinks the things that make you happy are immature? Yeah, you don't have to be bored all the time just because you're an adult. You're also not married. Shared finances end at your shared bills being paid. He has nothing to say about what you do with the money that you earn. Beyond that, yeah, 100%, how ridiculous. It's not up to him at all. I feel passionate about this because I love games. I never used to really play any games because I worked too much. Like when I started my YouTube channel and I was doing 2 long episodes every day. Back when all I did was work, I didn't have a lot of time to play games. But now, I love games. And they're amazing. And that's such a lame attitude to be like, oh, it's immature for an adult to play a Switch. Like, for real? Yeah, like this comment says, you should inform him that you don't require his permission. And the comment below that says, don't be with somebody who wants you to dim yourself for him. Won't end well for you. Yeah, you didn't do anything wrong, OP. And enjoy your new Switch. Okay, I'll see if Nez or Jin wants to get in the basket. Wish me luck. Nezzy. Oh, straight out of the basket immediately. Jin. No. They like their new basket too much. What can I put in the basket? I've got a whole bunch of trinkets everywhere. I've got a Skyrim duck, not a Gandalf duck, but Skyrim duck. Little Ulfric Stormcloak. He can sit in the basket. See, a video game. Video games are great, especially Skyrim. Okay, story number 4 says, am I the a-hole for bringing a baby to business class? I recently flew from New York City to Zurich with my 9-month-old. It was a red eye, so I figured that I had some points to burn, and I booked a business class lay flat so both of us could be able to sleep. I didn't read that very good. I recently flew from New York City to Zurich with my 9-month-old. It was a red eye, so I figured that I had some points to burn, and I booked a business class lay flat so both of us would be able to get some sleep. I got on the flight and the baby was chilling and looking around. A woman comes to take the seat next to me and I hear her say pretty loud, "Are you kidding me?" I didn't think anything of it. Flight took off, baby laid down and slept for 3 hours. At that point, the baby woke up and was hungry, so cried. I immediately sat her up and we went to make her a bottle. So she was crying for a total of, 2 minutes? This woman next to me who'd been sleeping flies up and proceeds to give me the finger, stomps over to the flight attendant deck where she loudly tells them that I need to be put in economy. When she comes back, she tells me that babies don't belong in business class, and if I can't control my infant, I shouldn't be here. I told her I was doing my best and that she can, with all due respect, off. And if she didn't want the roulette of who she sat next to on a commercial flight, she could fly her ass private. She put her headphones on and didn't speak to me for the rest of the flight. I later told my mother-in-law this and she said that she agrees that babies shouldn't be in business class, that it's an unspoken rule that if you're flying with a child, you should fly economy. I think this is absurd. Why should I be in economy if I don't have to be, just because I have a baby? That seems insane to me. Am I the a-hole? The top comment says, lol, at first I thought it said that you took your baby to a business class. Yeah, what's that movie? Boss Baby or something? Yeah, like, oh, I'm a baby and I do business. I'm a business baby. The comment below that says, haha, this is hilarious. I flew business at Christmas time. There were 52 babies on the flight. 25 of them were in business class. You cannot dictate who's allowed in what section. If they've got a ticket, they can sit there. And the response says, I'd rather share business class with OP and the baby than that woman. Yeah. And she flipped OP off too. That's hilarious. Like imagining her being like, oh, screw you, and flipping OP off. That's so ridiculous. Okay, story number 5. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend that I'm not going to be anything like his mum? And if he expects that, we should break up. I'm 24 female, my boyfriend's 25 male. This past week, we flew to his hometown. His grandma passed away and we flew there to stay for 4 days. I don't actually have anything bad to say about his mum. She's very sweet and warm and welcoming. My boyfriend is number 5 of 13 children. 13 children. The youngest is not even a year old yet. His family home is huge and very clean and everybody seemed great. The issue that I have is that she is and always has been a stay-at-home mum. While we were there, she was constantly busy. She did everything. She basically streamlined his dad's life. He doesn't have to do really anything at home. She cooks, she cleans, she looks after the children. All 13 of them. She even does his laundry and ironed everything. His dad really didn't do anything at all. Apparently, she even takes care of the yard and gardens. All he does is maintenance. She also gets up before he does and makes his breakfast and lunch and gets everything ready for him, so all he has to do is grab it and go. Wow. He said that once the kids get old enough, they have their own chores and stuff, but she did a serious amount of work. His dad owned some sort of contractor business. As soon as he walked in the door after work, there was food on the table and nobody was allowed to eat until his dad sat down and ate his first bite and told his mum that it was good. The meal that she cooked was absolutely massive too. There was enough food to feed an army. She was cooking most of the evening. It was very good, but holy crap, it was a lot. I asked him if this was special because of the guests, but apparently she always cooks enough to feed an army. Lunch was pretty much whatever was in the refrigerator that you wanted. Breakfast was also a massive meal that I have no idea what time she got up to make, but it was a big breakfast. The family did at least clean everything up so that she didn't have to clean up. But holy crap, I do not envy her. When we were on our way home, my boyfriend was talking about his family and basically saying how much he loved the way that they live. And I told him I'm absolutely not doing that at all. I don't want to be a stay-at-home mum. I have a career that I love. I absolutely will not be streamlining his life. I expect a basically 50-50 lifestyle. I'm not doing everything for him. He acted like he understood and said that he didn't expect me to be exactly like his mother, but that he did expect me to be home more if we had children. I basically told him that if he wants a stay-at-home mum, then we should probably break up, and he can find somebody else who feels the same. Now he's upset and basically told me that he wanted some time. I haven't heard from him since Monday. I'm not sure what to do. This comment says, how about being happy that you dodged a bullet? He was not being honest with you. He wants a wife like his mother. The fact that he wanted some time when you made it clear that you were not going to be anything like his mum is a clear indication of that. The comment under that one says, you know, it's weird. I grew up in a family where my father worked a lot and my mum did most of the housework outside of car stuff and lawn work. And I did not grow up thinking that I needed a woman to do these things for me. I grew up thinking that she looked exhausted and that my dad could have chipped in more so that she wouldn't be so tired. She wasn't unhappy or anything, she just did everything and would apologize all the time for things that my dad just didn't like. I don't want a partner to take care of me like some kind of grown man child. I want a partner and I want to take care of them as much as they take care of me, no matter who's earning the paychecks. Definitely not the a-hole consensus. Story number 6. Am I the a-hole for telling my mum that she's also to blame for why my brother and I won't host our parents for the holidays? Late Christmas was my brother's first holiday not living at home with our parents. He wanted to host everybody in his new apartment. Also, around this time last year, my parents had mutually agreed not to get each other gifts as they were focusing on paying off some debt. Apparently there was some miscommunication. My dad thought this meant no gifts at all. My mum thought this meant no gifts, but they'd still exchange stockings. In our family, stockings are always small stuff, body care, candy, you get the picture. I was living with my parents last year and I had heard all the discussions. I honestly saw both sides when on Christmas morning we all woke up and mum didn't have her stocking filled from dad. She was very quiet but clearly hurt. He ran to the pharmacy quickly and bought some things to fill her stocking, saying that he was sorry. Now, should my dad have communicated better? Sure. Do I understand my mum's hurt by the situation? Also sure. But I thought they'd be able to swallow it all for lunch at my brother's. We go, and my dad's doing his best to make up for his blunder. My mum's in a terrible mood and keeps on picking at him all day long. Toward the end of our time together, she ended up making a snarky remark about my dad not filling her stocking. My dad flipped his and started screaming that nothing he does is enough. Then he stormed out. My brother was clearly upset by having Christmas ruined by their arguing. I convinced my mum that we should leave not long after. My brother and I were upset with both of them. My dad shouldn't have flipped out and screamed. My mum also should have kept her comments to herself or spoken to my dad later. My brother was embarrassed as his roommate had come home, and while he was in his room he overheard the arguing. My brother stopped having my parents over altogether after that, though he'd still invite me. My brother would also visit us at my parents' place. Thanksgiving is fast approaching and we were all trying to coordinate plans. I recently got my own place, but honestly, I don't want to host after last year. My brother said that he'd never be hosting another holiday at his apartment again. My mum was hurt by all of this, but eventually we all just planned to have dinner at my parents' place. Later on, my mum was complaining to me that my brother won't have us over anymore, feeling pushed out. She said that it was all my dad's fault and she wouldn't be punished. Oh, come on. I told her while my dad was wrong for screaming, she chose to be whiny all day long. I clarified that I understood her hurt, but she also partially ruined the day by not letting it go. My mum got mad at me and accused me of taking sides. I said I'm not. If Dad bitched, I'd tell him the same, but he seems to understand that he ruined it. I also pointed out that neither of them ever apologised to my brother, and I'm not confident that they'd never do it again. My mum says I'm in the wrong for how I spoke to her. Am I the a-hole here? Edit, because of course everybody's favourite game is Let's Play Devil's Advocate. This is not my parents' first time having an argument like this. In the past, it hasn't been about Christmas, but it's been about other stuff. They hate each other, but they stay married due to not being able to afford to divorce and live separate. They hate each other. Their screaming matches are constant and they've ruined other family events. We've suggested therapy and they won't go. They want to stay trapped and miserable. Yet when my brother and I bickered about stupid stuff as kids, they'd scream at us for ruining their peace. We're at the point where they don't get to do this without consequences. This is the consequence. For those saying that I shouldn't blame my dad as much as I do in this post, the main reason I hold him at 50% is because he started screaming. If he had just remained quiet and spoke to my mum later, then he wouldn't be held to the same degree. Because he screamed and refused to take accountability for his tantrum, he goes up there too. But yeah, I agree, without that, my mum is more at fault. Thank you to those who actually listened and paid attention. Even if I didn't agree with what you said, you didn't try to play stupid devil's advocate and make the story into something that it wasn't. The top comment says, you made the best point of all. Neither apologise to your brother. You also mentioned that you think this situation could happen again. It kind of says all we as the internet need to know about your parents. Edit, apparently I forgot to write not the a-hole, but obviously not the a-hole. The response says, a person who doesn't hold themselves accountable will perceive accountability from others as an attack. That's what your mum's doing. She sees herself as the victim. Doesn't want to accept that it's partly her fault. The second top comment says, not the a-hole, you're in fact being the voice of reason. It reminds me of when kids have a spat. There's usually an adult to make them stop and think and express and then work on solving things and apologising. You're acting the adult, and your mum's acting the bratty kid who got a timeout. Okay, story number 7. Am I the a-hole for taking my niece on vacation after her parents planned one without her? My niece 11 is the youngest child with 4 older brothers. She's also the youngest cousin and grandchild and the only girl. Between that and the fact that she was very sick when she was little, she's a little spoiled by everybody except her parents. When she turned 11, she told her mum that she wanted to go on a weekend trip with just her and her mum. Her mum made a big deal about her wanting to exclude her dad and brothers. They refused to do the trip and also didn't plan anything for her birthday. So I took her on her trip myself. Last month was one of her brother's birthdays. He decided that for his birthday, he wanted everybody to go to Mexico, except for my niece. Her parents agreed that it was fair because if she wanted a trip without them, they can get one without her. They asked me if I could watch her for 10 days. My niece was so upset, so I decided to plan a surprise trip for her. I have some clients in Miami, so I arranged for us to go there for 5 days, drive up to Orlando for 3 days, then fly to New York for 2 days, where I also had to get some work done. It was technically a work trip, but I was able to plan a lot of fun outings for my niece. Just before their trip to Mexico, I told my niece's parents that I had to be in Florida and New York for work during their trip, but I could take her with me. Since it was so last minute, they had to agree, as they didn't have any other childcare, and they couldn't miss this trip. She had a blast! We spent a day in Disney World, we went to 2 Broadway shows, spent most of our time in Florida on the beach, did a lot of shopping, got room service for the first time, and our tickets were upgraded so that we flew first class on our way home. Her parents are mad that I spoiled her and I undermined them, so I don't get to see her as much as I used to. I'm still their after-school childcare, so I see her a few days a week, and they're going around telling extended family that I took their kid across the country without permission because I was upset about her being punished for being rude. The top comment says, so she asked for a trip with mum alone. They said no, it's mean to brothers. But when brother wants a trip without her, it's fine because she had dared to ask for a trip without siblings. What sort of mind-bending parents does this poor girl have? Not the a-hole, you're a wonderful person to look out for her. Yeah, that sucks. Because she wanted a trip with her mum? OP's niece didn't do anything. That's so sad. Yeah, like the second top comment says, and in 15 years when your niece goes no contact with your sister, brother-in-law and nephews, they'll claim that it came out of nowhere. Not the a-hole. This comment says, wow, your niece's parents sound like terrible people to exclude their own daughter from a family trip. It seems like they're trying to spoil their sons to make up for their daughter being ill and getting attention from others. You're a wonderful aunt for treating your niece special. And OP said, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of them. My sons are all out of the house, so I have space for her to sleep over, and we try to do that every now and then to give her a break. Yeah, not the a-hole to you, OP. Oh, what a sad situation. The niece's parents suck. Am I the a-hole for not letting a kid eat my food? The other day I was at the mall with my boyfriend and our 2 kids, female 5 and male 6. We were sitting eating a bag of roasted chestnuts when this kid, around 10 years old, starts hovering around us. Now I admit that I'm not the biggest fan of any kid that doesn't belong to me, so this alone was already annoying me slightly, but I still smiled to him. Then he calls my son over and whispers in my ear, and I knew that it was about the chestnuts. My son nods yes, and the boy comes up to me and reaches for a chestnut. I moved the bag and said, no, you have to go ask your parents. My boyfriend got upset, called me rude, and handed a chestnut to the boy. The boy leaves, and I tell my boyfriend that he shouldn't have done that. You don't just give food to a strange kid. The boy then hovers back around us and without a word, snatches 2 chestnuts from the bag that my boyfriend was now holding. I stand up and I said very firmly, sorry, but you can't take our stuff like that. Go to your parents. He put them back and ran off. I think the kid had no manners, and I wasn't going to let my kids think it's okay to accept anything from strangers, or also that it's okay to be pressured into sharing. My boyfriend doesn't agree and thinks that the kid trusted us because we had kids ourselves. He thinks I was just selfish. So am I the a-hole? The top comment says, not the a-hole, your boyfriend could have had that kid killed. How does your boyfriend know the kid's not allergic to nuts or something? Absolutely never give food to kids without talking to the parents first. Yeah, definitely not the a-hole in the comment section. Pretty much all the comments are saying the same sort of stuff. Like, no, not the a-hole, he could have been allergic, the boyfriend's being irresponsible, and that OP's definitely not the a-hole. Okay, that was story number 8. This is story number 9. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my college fund to my nephew after my sister found out about it? Hi, for the past 6 years I've been working on different jobs in my hole of a country in order to save up and get a real education and a proper job later. My parents were always promising to pay for it, but they never did. At some point I managed to get a scholarship and I used saved money for housing and other bills and spendings. I have a sister and she has a son. She was always complaining how no one ever helped her with money, just like me, but unlike her, I wasn't mentioning it that much. I have never mentioned the fund, but my parents have accidentally revealed it to my sister at the latest family gathering. Then my sister immediately turns to me and asks me to donate the remaining money to her and her child, saying that I could move back in with my parents. My goddamn parents agree with her, because family helps family. I obviously refuse because I've been saving up for years, and now I'm gonna need it. Now then, my sister and parents just turn red, accusing me of being a selfish prick. I quickly fled the family gathering without asking any other family members what they think about it, but I really don't know if I'm doing something incorrect or their reaction was wrong. The top comment says, I'd stop calling it a college fund because it really sounds like it's your life savings. They want you to give up all of your hard-earned life savings to help them out. Not the a-hole, they're the a-hole. It would have been fine for them to ask for some help, but to demand all of your savings is incredibly selfish. If family's supposed to help family, why are they trying to hurt you? Yeah, for sure. And the response says, I don't believe for a second that her parents just let it slip out. They know that she has money and they're too cheap to help their own kid. Screw them all. Yeah, not the a-hole. Story number 10. Am I the a-hole for calling out my in-laws after they mocked my parents for crying? I, a female 23, just had a baby. After giving birth, I stayed with my parents for like 2 months before moving back home with my husband. When my husband and his parents came to pick me up, my parents got emotional saying goodbye. Like, yeah, they cried a bit. It was really sweet. We don't live close and they don't see us often. But in the car, my in-laws started to laugh about it. Like saying, oh wow, so dramatic and stuff. Oh, what? I just sat there like, are you serious? It felt so mean and disrespectful, yeah. I ended up snapping and told them that it wasn't funny. Then everybody went quiet and later my husband told me that I overreacted. Nah. By the way, during those 2 months, they barely texted or called to check on us. Not even when the baby got sick twice. And now they're mocking my parents for caring too much? I don't know, man. Am I the a-hole for calling them out? No, not at all. The top comment, your husband told you overreacted because you snapped at your in-laws for laughing at your parents expressing quite understandable emotions? I'm so sorry that you have a child with this man. Not the a-hole. The second top comment says not the a-hole at all. Is your husband included in barely texted or called? Because I can't imagine having a newborn and one parent not being there. Why did you have to live with your parents for 2 months after giving birth? What was your husband doing? And OP said, my husband did text and keep in touch while I was at my parents'. I stayed there for like 2 months because honestly, his parents baby him too much. So he didn't really help with the baby. It's our first kid and I was super stressed. No one was helping with chores or cooking or anything. And my parents were like, just come home so that we can help you. Oh, this is awful. To be honest, I'm kind of sad about how clueless he is as a dad. Like, he plays CS2 at night and talks loud as hell while the baby's sleeping. We share one room, so there's no separate space for his gaming either. It's just exhausting. The response, yeah, what if you just go back to your parents' house? Yeah. This comment says your husband didn't stay with you for the first 2 months of your first child's life. What? And OP responded, actually, he stayed with me and the baby for like the first month, but I was the one waking up every night. He did literally nothing. My mother-in-law helped too, but all she did was talk to the baby in the middle of the night, which totally messed up his day and night schedule and made him wake up randomly. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but honestly, it was rough. I was exhausted, anemic, breastfeeding, still recovering from birth. And then out of nowhere, my mother-in-law decided to go on a sudden trip without even telling me first. I couldn't find anybody to help watch the baby, and I really needed some sleep because my milk supply was already low. And yeah, all that stress killed my milk completely. Now my baby's fully on formula and I feel like such a bad mum. This comment says maybe your parents were crying because they know that you have to fully fend for yourself and the baby. They know that you're leaving your support system. I'd go back to your parents until he gets it together and realizes that his all-night gaming days are now bottles and diapers. Your in-laws also sound like a-holes who raised an incompetent a-hole. Not the a-hole. Yeah, go back to your parents for sure, OP. Oh, that's so sad. All the best, OP. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to not eat the food that I made for my lunches? My husband, 34 male, and I, 33 female, had a little exchange yesterday morning. He works remotely full-time while I work in person all 5 days of the week. I also do most of the cooking and cleaning. Since I'm not home during the day, I make my lunch and I make sure he either has leftovers or I make something fresh for him the night before. On Monday, there was a crisis at work, and I realized that I was going to have to work longer hours this week, and I won't have a lot of time to cook. I stayed up until 2 a.m. on Monday night cooking a variety of food items to cover my lunches for the week, and at least 2 to 3 days worth of meals for all of us. He went to bed at 10 p.m. For my lunches, I made stuffed squash, since I can just boil a little bit of rice to go with it every night while packing my lunch. The next morning, I was heading out for work. I started showing my husband what's in the fridge so he doesn't tell me later that he didn't see it. He saw the stuffed squash and started taking one out of the container before I could even tell him that I made it for my lunches. Here's where I might be the a-hole. As he was taking one out, I said a little too loud, "No, that's for my lunches." He looked a bit like how our daughter looks when I scold her for something. The intention was to let him know that I made it with a specific purpose, so he's not just eating all the portions I made for my lunches and then leaving me scrambling again. I also told him that he's more than welcome to try one if he wants it. I just didn't want him to think that he can have all of it. He wasn't saying anything more on it, and I was running late for work, so I left for work. When I got home, he seemed unnaturally quiet and distant with me. I asked him why he's acting weird, but he said that he isn't, and nothing's wrong, so I dropped it. At the end of the night, he told me that he didn't like how I spoke to him that morning about the food, and that he felt like I was trying to control how much he's eating. My husband is the sort of person who will eat half a pizza that was meant to be shared between 3 people because he really felt like stuffing it in the moment without asking if there's enough for everybody. Don't get me wrong, he's generally very considerate, but he does have some cookie monster moments. Even so, I've only ever commented on it if he's being rude to guests by doing it, or if he's overeating something he needs to restrict for medical reasons. Considering how much food I make to make sure that he has plenty to eat during the day, that comment seemed to come out of left field and was honestly quite hurtful. But I apologise for my tone from the morning and making him feel bad about it, and I explained the reasoning and the intention behind it. So, am I the a-hole for telling him to not eat the food that I made for my lunches? Is it reasonable for him to think that I'm trying to control how much he's eating, just based on that one comment? Edit putting this here because almost every comment asked this. He used to cook and clean equally until a couple of months ago. He was in a car crash and injured his back, so I've taken on the tasks that are painful for him, or that he just doesn't have energy for. He also gets 20 minutes for lunches because of their team schedule, so making a lunch for himself is also often not possible. Not the a-hole, and that's definitely the consensus. The top comment says, my husband works from home and I'm in the office 5 days a week. He survives without me having to baby him and takes care of his own meals all by himself. Not the a-hole, your husband's lazy, stop catering to him. Yeah, definitely not the a-hole. OP stayed up until 2 a.m. on Monday night cooking a variety of food items to cover lunch for the week, and at least 3 days worth of meals for all of them. And he just went to bed at 10. Like, hey dude, you can meal prep. Why does OP have to stay up until 2 a.m. doing it? Okay, the next one says, am I the a-hole for threatening to move out? Oh my god, I forgot that I had Yo Ulfric Stormcloak next to me. You enjoying the episode? He is. A bit of background information. Parents have 3 biological kids and 1 foster kid, but he came to us not very long after he was born, probably less than a month, I believe. And before anybody starts questioning that, his mother is seen as an unfit parent and had to give up all of her children before and after him as well. Biological father is unknown. I'm the older son. I have an older and a younger sister. Older sister has moved out. Little sister Katie is 16. Foster brother Jake is 15, I'm 23, and I finished uni a little less than a year ago and I live at home still. The reason for that's relevant. My parents' house is old. Very, very old, in the sense that if you want to renovate, it's a pain in the ass because everything's been renovated a million times already. Heating works via an oven that you put wood into. You want hot water or for it to not be ice cold? Start a fire, wait an hour, it'll start heating up slowly. Not as big of a deal in summer, but annoying in winter. Another thing, I have a dog that's fully mine. Has been my responsibility since I was a teen. I'm not going to go into detail because that's probably boring to most, but I feed her raw food as well as my parents' dog. My parents are not interested in learning anything about it. Their dog doesn't know anything about raw, and they don't ever want to switch that. My younger siblings don't know how the oven works. They refuse to learn regardless of how often they're shown. And they also refuse to take care of anything animal related. My parents both still work, bus connections are so at least once a week I'm driving both of my siblings somewhere. Now they're both on school break, fall break, and my brother plays video games late into the night. No issue, he wears a headset, only he yells. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be woken up by yelling over Fortnite at 2 a.m. when I have to get up at 6 a.m. for work. I tell him, he stops for a day, it starts again. It's like that every break. My parents say that I need to be understanding because he has ADHD. I'm not a doctor, but that doesn't make you yell in the middle of the night, does it? Now, in the past I just ignore it, but I have savings. I could move out, I could move away, and I could enjoy my freedom. My parents don't want that because, oh, but Katie gets cold when we're working in the morning. Or who's going to drive Jake to chess? And who's going to feed Bello? I told them either they get him to shut up at night or they can deal with it themselves and I'll move out. My mum claims that I'm threatening them with that. I don't think it's a threat, but a boundary. I want to sleep. In part, I can understand why it's upsetting. They'd have to change their work schedules and my dad would have to do all the physical work around the house himself. Jake does not help. I don't want to be some ungrateful son who treats his parents like dirt, but I'm so annoyed with being woken up. The top comment says, don't threaten to move out. Move out. It's time. The second top comment says, not the a-hole time to move on. Your parents are going to have to figure it out. And they will. The reason they haven't is because they've never had to. You were always there. It'll also be good for your siblings. They need to start practicing some independence. You'd be doing everybody in that house a favor. Sooner or later you'll burn out and leave regardless. Except when that happens, it'll be that much more difficult to salvage any relationships. Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely the consensus. All the best, OP. Okay, story number 13. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad that I can't see how his prank was funny? I, 16, live with my mum and I visit my dad every Saturday. Last Saturday was different though. He asked to meet outside for lunch instead of having me over. When I ordered a nice latte, he snorted. I asked him what's so funny, and he said that he pulled a prank on my stepmom. Now, Dad enjoys these things. He used to play videos of cats in heat to see a male cat's reaction to the sound, along with videos of dogs barking. He switched off the light when I was in the toilet several times. Once he put a snake plush next to my mum when she was sleeping, knowing that she's terrified of snakes. A lot of shouting that day, so I asked him what he did. He said that he made her latte but with whole milk instead of her usual oat milk, knowing that she's vegan. Wow, that's not even funny. Wanted to see if she would be able to tell. She got really upset at him, hence why he asked to meet outside. Then Dad said to me, "That's funny, right?" And I just pulled a face and said, "Don't think so, Dad," because I couldn't see how it was funny. He looked annoyed and said that people these days can't take a joke. Told me that I'm his son and I'm supposed to side with him, saying that I shouldn't be judgmental since it was harmless. No, that's not funny. This comment says not the a-hole, that's not harmless. She could have stomach troubles for days, and he also broke her trust. Yeah, definitely not harmless. And also, even if it was harmless, it's still not funny. Like, oh, it's a different type of milk. You're not the a-hole at all, OP. Good on you for telling him that it's not funny. Because it's not. And yeah, like the comments say, it's also not harmless. Okay, story number 14. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for the new tyres that my uncle got me? So, about 5 days ago, as I, 24 female, was getting ready for my doctor's appointment, I noticed that my car wasn't in the driveway. Panicked, I asked my cousins and aunt where my car was, and they told me that their dad had borrowed it to run a few errands here and there, but would be back by the time I needed to get to work. I didn't tell them that I had an appointment that early, so I didn't worry about it and decided to cancel the appointment and reschedule. I was a bit irritated that he'd take my car without asking, especially since we aren't close at all, but I let it go. My uncle's work has him located in another country, so he's only here for about 2 or 3 months at a time, and in that time he uses my cousin's car because she works from home, but she had to go in that day. 10 minutes until I had to get to work, and he was still not back yet, so I just called an Uber instead. Not a problem until I realised later that my work keys were in my car, and I wouldn't be able to close up or leave without them. I called to see if he was back yet so I could have somebody bring them to me, but he wasn't. They told me that he was at the mechanic changing my tyres, so I had to wait 40 minutes for him to bring my car to me so I could lock up and go home. Now, my tyres weren't bad at all. They weren't great, but they were good enough to last me a good while until I could afford to get them replaced. He complained that the drive wasn't smooth, so he got 2 of them changed. I didn't ask him for that, and it caused me a bit of inconvenience, but I was grateful nonetheless that he went out of his way to replace my tyres, despite me never mentioning wanting them changed. I wonder if he damaged them, and that's why he had to get them changed. Fast forward to yesterday after dinner, randomly my aunt went on about how it was quite rude that I hadn't even brought up repaying my uncle for the cost of the tyres, and that it was bad manners to let the person bring it up themselves. Honestly, I was flabbergasted here because it genuinely never even crossed my mind that he would ask me to pay for new tyres that I never even asked him for. Also, part of me thought that it was maybe a gesture of goodwill for borrowing my car without asking. I told her that I was grateful that he did, but that I couldn't pay for something that I didn't personally want. Besides that, I didn't even have the money for it. And given the current state of my bank account and future expenditures, I will continue to not have the money for at least 2 or more months. She suddenly blew up at me and said that she was just trying to help me save face and not come off ungrateful. Since then, the atmosphere in the house has soured. My aunt and uncle flat out ignore and avoid me now, And my cousins all say that it's a bit messed up that I never even considered paying them back for the tyres, and that he spent a good while waiting for the mechanic to get them done, so the least I could do was offer to at least pay for it. What do I do? Could I actually be the a-hole here? The top comment says he definitely ripped a sidewall while parking or something and then had to replace the tyres. He's trying to pretend it was for your benefit to pretend that he's not irresponsible with other people's possessions. Do you live with your aunt and uncle? If you live with them, you might have no choice. The second top comment says, number 1, he took your car without asking, causing you to panic because you thought it had been stolen. Number 2, this made you miss your doctor's appointment and have to reschedule. Number 3, you had to call an Uber to get to work, costing you money, which I note he hasn't offered to pay you back, and nearly making you late. Number 4, you had to stay late at work because you couldn't leave until he brought your keys and car. Number 5, you did not need new tyres, and he didn't ask if you wanted them. Not the a-hole, and hide your keys in the future. The comment under that says, call the mechanic and subtly ask if one of the tyres was drivable when your uncle brought it in. Several people have suggested that he ruined a tyre and had to get it replaced. It'd be nice to have that confirmed. Either way, not the a-hole. He literally stole your car and then had unauthorized work done to it. Yeah, and is now ignoring OP too. They ignore and avoid me now. Yeah, definitely a not the a-hole consensus, and time to read something wholesome. What a fun episode. Thunder buddies in their thunder bunker. Oh, that's so beautiful, the little babies. No, the thunder's scary, it's too loud. Oh, that's so cute. Thank you for watching today's episode, everybody. I hope you had a great time. That was a super fun episode. I'm a little bit tired. That was a lot of fun though. Definitely excited for the next episode. Maybe we'll do 15 stories in the next episode, and then 16 and 17 and 18. No, probably not. And then 100 stories in an episode. The comment of the day today goes to Resilient Sage. Gandalf duck, you shall not quack. That's so funny. Yeah, the ducks are so cute. They're called like Tubbs or something. Tubbz. I've got this one, a couple of Skyrim ones, the Gandalf one from The Shining, which is super cute. But yeah, they're kind of adorable, especially the Gandalf duck. You shall not quack. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you for the support, everybody. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.